And welcome back, everybody. So we are here with the Avengers and Infinity War Spoilercast. It's been a long time coming. There's a lot to talk about it. I am, of course, your host, Armin. You guys can find me on Twitter at Arminis and at Comic Book Cast. And I'm here with Mitch
What's up? You can find me at Mitch692.
and Tristan.
Hey guys, and you can find me at Control Breakers.
So, lots of stuff in this movie to unpack and kind of talk about. Now, I don't even know honestly where to start with it because there's so much to talk about. So,
Let's start with the quiet fanfare. Alright, what the hell?
yeah,
Set the tone instantly, why don't you?
yeah. So, I mean, I felt like, us going into this movie, we kind of know a lot of stuff that the normal people don't, just because the virtue of we talk about it and we like live in the fandom and stuff, right? But I've never seen this type of shock from pretty much everybody involved when it came to a movie, right? Like, there was a lot of stuff that happens, like right off the beginning when Hulk gets his ass handed to him. I was like, oh, wow, this is certainly going to be a different type of Marvel movie. And then,
He got boxed.
yeah, it was quite an intense scene to watch, and that kind of just set the tone for me for the movie and what the movie was going to be, which was ultimately, yeah, these guys are pretty boned for the rest of the entire,
Yeah.
2.5 hours.
Oh yeah, because like I think Hulk got laid out like in what 30 seconds.
Yeah.
He got his nose broke. Like, Christ. Who can break the Hulk's nose? But, like, I think it got the reaction it did because of, like, the usual Marvel complaints. Like, oh, this is a kid's film. They don't kill anyone. There's no stakes. And it's like, well, this wouldn't work if you had that constantly.
Yeah.
And it's that impactful because it's the first one like this.
I mean, they give that excuse, but like right after or right during it and after, Loki dies and like half of the Asgardians are dead. So
Yeah.
I,
That bit confused me. I think it's confused a lot of people as
It
well.
did.
Like, it's like, are they? Like, you don't see half of them.
I mean, I just assumed because you saw them start stabbing people to make sure that they were dead.
Yeah.
But you don't see them alive. Like, you don't see Valkyrie go off that they've
I,
said.
I kind of just picture the moment they invaded the ship, how there's all those bodies. They did the thing. What side? Like, because later on in the movie, we see Ebony Maw when they're on Gamora's planet, and he's telling them, "Oh, do you want like enlightenment or whatever? Or do you want this?"
True.
I took that like the fourth time I watched the movie. I was like, "Wait a second." He does this same thing everywhere they go. So the way I saw it was, they were just positioned off screen, and that was the one thing that like kind of threw me off the first couple times watching it. Because I'm like, if they would have shown that and Xandar, it would have been better, but the movie would have been worse because
And so there's so much going on anyway, and it's already so long. It's like you don't necessarily need to see Xandar. Yes, everyone kind of knew it was going to happen anyway. It's probably why they didn't even show it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's Xandar's like had its shit pushed in. Get on with it.
yeah. But overall, yeah, I think they kind of, if they would have explained that a little bit better, I think it would have worked because there was a lot of confusion. Because everybody I went with, they're like, are all the Asgardians dead? I was like, no. They kind of have a just passing line, but it's not much of it, really, so.
Yeah, I say like we know half of them are alive anyway. He doesn't wipe out everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be some people there. Where they are, we don't know. They could be on Earth. Never know.
And there's also, like, in the movie, like, right off the bat, when you kick into it, it sets the tone for what the movie is, which is every time we transition scenes, there is no slowdown. Like, this is probably the fastest paced, like, any movie I've ever seen, because there's literally no time to breathe on anything, yet everything gets ample time to actually work. I think the only complaints I have is the Thor and like E-Tree side story, because I thought that one dragged fast, like, more than the other
See, I
ones.
really like that. I really like that scene. It was no, it just felt like watching it like an extended bit of Ragnarok because it is the same story. It puts that Thor into perspective where like people are going, oh, he's all joking. It's like, yeah, he is joking because it's a front, and we see that it's a front in this because he cries.
Yep.
So like, I like that bit, and then of course like you get the whole Stormbreaker stuff, and it showed Thor is a god.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Like, no one person could A, be out in space because we know people freeze, and B, no one person could restart a forge that size
Yep.
and then survive stun. So
Yeah, it actually showed him at like his full power, which like when you talk about that, that's opposite of what happens with the Hulk because he's like retreated inside and he doesn't want to come out. He's almost like embarrassed that he was beaten.
Yeah.
Not only was he was beat with ease. Like there was no effort. Thanos only had one stone and he didn't even use it on him. So,
Yeah.
you know, impressive.
It's also nice that Ragnarok was essentially all Hulk. We had a little bit of Banner, but now this one is a little bit of Hulk and all Banner.
Yep. Well, it's part of that whole thing. They said it's like Ragnarok starts a very particular story for Hulk and Bruce Banner. Infinity War is going to build on it, and Avengers 4 is going to finish it. So I think you could quite clearly tell the direction that they're taking for this franchise, and I really do like it. Like,
I just don't know where they're going to take Hulk. I can't see. You can obviously theorize and that, throw out some ideas. Maybe they split. Maybe
I think that's the way they're going with it. Honestly,
yeah. Like they could have done that quite easily in this. It's like Thanos just backhands the Banner out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, oh shit, they're separate.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Did you guys like Peter Dinklage's role in the movie?
I didn't mind it. His voice was slightly weird. Like he sounded like Star-Lord when him and Thor met. It's just like, is this just unironic? What's going on? But
I think people were taken back because at first they didn't think it was him until they realized, oh shit, it's Dinklage, but he's a big dwarf.
So
because most people thought the dwarves would be short and tiny, not massive and tall.
My entire theater laughed when they realized it was him, and all I could hear was people talking, saying Tyrion, 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 and I think that's like a problem you have when you cast him. It's like he's Tyrion forever from now on till the end of time.
Yeah.
And the fact he was a dwarf just kind of cements that, and it's like, okay, but they did that whole thing where he's a giant dwarf because they subvert what you're expecting, but it did feel weird because his voice was so like. It's like, what, is he trying? Like, I didn't understand.
Yeah, I think it's safe to assume that Peter Dinklage shouldn't do voice acting.
Yeah, no.
Just stick to what you do. Like, don't try putting on voices unless it's the Game of Thrones one.
Yeah, between this and Destiny,
it's actually him voice acting his own voice.
It's just so weird.
Yeah, it was weird. Now
they tried to distort.
A little bit, yeah. Now, here's what I want to kind of also say out there. The way they handle Thor and uniting him right away with the Guardians of the Galaxy was probably the smartest choice they could take, and you can now see why Thor Ragnarok had to be more Guardian-esque, because they saw which direction Thor was going to be heading in these movies. They're like, you can't have the same dour, depressing world he's in like Dark World, right, where everything is just bleak color. So like, you could see how Ragnarok now directly leads into this, and the character and the way his like humor and the way he carries himself is different. I thought that was honestly like just amazing how they pulled that off, because it didn't feel out of place. But if you would have went from the Dark World to this, Thor would be like, oh, this is a completely new character. So like that one movie really lend itself towards our universe building,
But I don't know. I think you maybe could have got the Dark World Thor, because they really toned down the Guardians in this. Like having that 4-year gap between Volume 2 and this one, like in the timeline, it really kind of allowed them to not be as 11 James Gunns as he made them in Volume 2. Like it's just tone it, like keep them all like the jokey, but make it more character joke, not like quippy jokes.
Yeah, it was that whole how do I perceive it? Like, they are more toned up, like you say, in the other movies, and that's like obviously the James Gunn effect. But this one, they did the whole Avengers and Age of Ultron effect, where you have to balance the characters out, and some have to, get pulled back. Which honestly, the way the Russo brothers handled it, you could honestly be like, did James Gunn do this? Because they feel like they got written by James Gunn, and yeah, he was executive producer, but like they're handled in almost the same way.
I think they've said that they've had James Gunn and like Ryan Coogler on set to make sure everything matches up. So I can imagine that he did write some stuff for them, like the whole mimicking Thor. Like, I bet that was Gunn.
Yeah,
if it wasn't Gunn, I'd be surprised.
Oh, that was so
and
good.
It's also like, let's make fun of Chris Pratt because he's got slightly fat.
Yeah, that was weird.
Just like, oh, it's true. I didn't notice it before, but it's true. No, that's it.
Now, other aspects of it. Let's talk about Well, let's talk about the Soul Stone. That's where I want to go. The most unexpected way to use the Soul Stone that nobody theorized about. Literally,
I would like to point this out. I was right. I've said it on here. I've said it on Twitter. Gamora is how he gets the Soul Stone.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Yep.
I didn't say it long before the movie came out on Twitter. It was the 13th of April, but I called it. I got the location wrong. Admittedly, I said it was on Titan. There was no way in hell anyone was going to fucking go, oh, it's on Vormir.
Yeah.
A random planet that's so insignificant in the comics and like one of the Kree systems. And it's just like,
Yeah. Not only that, if anybody tells you they would have guessed Red Skull, they're a blatant liar and never talk to them again. Like, it's... so, like, watching the movie for the premiere, I'm sitting there, and I start hearing the voice, and I was like, that's definitely not Hugo Weaving. I'm like, but that's a German accent. So what is this? What is this? Like, I'm like, okay, is this like going to be some sort of future Zemo? Like, I don't know what they're doing here. And then when the camera pulls tight and shows us Red Skull, the dude that's sitting behind me, my friend Adam, literally just reaches over and I feel a hand on my shoulder. He was like, Armin, I know you've hit like peak comic book right now. Like, I couldn't handle myself. I was like, I can't believe they tied up that loose end. Like, I've been waiting 8 years for this damn conclusion.
Well, it made me laugh because like they said it's gonna tie up loose ends from like throughout every movie.
Uh-huh.
And it's like I don't think it did tie up loose ends throughout every movie, but it's like that one was the biggest one people had.
Yep.
So what happened to Scott? Like, where is he? It's nice that they made him kind of like the Unseen.
Yeah.
From like the original scene with Nick Fury. Like it's not exactly how it is, but he's still like he has that curse and he's bound to one spot, and he's bound to like only look and not touch sort of thing. And it's kind of like poetic justice for the character. Like the person who can't love anything and can't sacrifice anything has to guard the one thing that needs like those emotions and that ability to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it felt very refreshing to see him, and I was like, okay, I'm glad they finally got this out of the way, and the way they use it, the way the Soul Stone works, I really like that. Like, you know, soul for a soul, right. I think that's kind of smart.
Does he actually use that stone in the movie, though? I don't think he does.
So only at the end, I would assume, when he activates all of them, but other than that, no.
Because it's like, you got this, it's apparently the most dangerous, but like, what is it? We were kind of in the same spot with Thor 2 in the Reality Stone. Like, what does this thing actually do?
Yeah.
Like, sure, it clearly takes a bit of Gamora's soul, like the childish part.
Yeah.
And that's never coming back out. But, so apart from that, does it do anything? I don't know. But they've got another movie to tell us, I suppose, so.
Yeah. And I assume they definitely will go into it by the look of it, and that's the thing, like, because he gets all the stones, and the movie just doesn't stop, and by the time it transitions over to, like, the final battle, it's not even a final battle with Thanos, because he walks out, and he's literally just, like, flicking his hand, and everybody's getting, like, demolished in front of him. I was like, oh no, like, this isn't even going to be a fight. It's literally an unbalanced, you can't stop this dude right now.
It's an embarrassment.
It was. Yeah.
Because, like, you know, you got Tony, Doctor Strange, Peter, and all the Guardians, bar Rocket, Groot, and Gamora on Titan. And they're the only ones that kind of really know what's going on, apart from Banner, who's with everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they've talked to Thanos, they've done this, like, they came close to winning, and of course, Peter Quill does what's completely in character. He does the exact same thing in Guardians too.
Yep.
Right. No, and of course, it fucks up, and they do that, and then he just disappears out of there before he tries to kill Tony. Yeah. And then he just arrives and backhands everyone. It's just like, they've spent this entire time fighting the Black Order, and it's just like, just
yeah, I mean, like, because I can go back to the fight on Titan, where people were getting confused about, you know, the one way they win with Doctor Strange, you know, like the 14 million.
So many people missed that moment. I don't get how. Yeah. It's like, it's quite obvious. Like, I saw 14,605 different possibilities. We won one.
Yep.
Like, why else would you give up? Right.
Yeah,
clearly Tony had.
That was my thing, talking with everybody. They were like, wait, why did Doctor Strange want to defeat them? Did he turn bad? Did Ebony Maw mess with him? I was like, no, guys. He literally says there's only one way they win, and winning is sacrificing the stone. They have to give it up if any of them want to survive. So,
You know, like the entire movie is about like sacrifice and like, are you willing to give something up for something else?
Mm-hmm.
And it plays perfect to Captain America's character in general because they like even Vision calls him on his shit.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, you sacrificed yourself. Let me do it. And you know, Strange says at the start, life it's between you and the kid. I will not hesitate to let you die.
Yep.
So there's obviously a good reason for him to give that stone up, and it has to be because it's the only way. You know?
Yeah, that's exactly how it's got to go, and it's also got to show that he's willing to sacrifice, even if he obviously looked into the future, and when he sees the outcome, he sees that he's gonna die. So
yeah,
but he's willing to do that just to give the others a risk. And I was like, okay, so Doctor Strange has had like he's had a really good selfless like lesson that he's learned between his movies and this movie. So it's like they handle that, I thought, very well.
Well, he's definitely become like Doctor Strange. Like he is this loner that is the only one on the path that he's on, and he has to know all this stuff about the cosmic awareness, and yet no one else can deal and make the decision he can make. It has to be him.
Yep.
Like the whole sacrifice. It's nice. Like the Russos really nailed the Strange, like not the Strange, the character of Strange down.
Yep. Yeah, and it's really good, like how they just kind of balance his whole arc, and like when he goes face to face with Tony, I thought that was handled very well, like dialogue and everything, and how these two characters come off, because everybody was like, oh, Doctor Strange is just Iron Man 1 all over again. I was like, yeah, sure, okay, sure, whatever, but yeah, I guess.
They can be, but in the movie you see that even Strange's ego is not that big.
Yeah, they kind of they definitely handled their interaction well. Thank God they didn't give us a no shit Sherlock just.
Same. Yep. I was so glad that didn't happen.
I was getting worried. It's like, yes, it might have been funny, but I don't really want it. And they handled them really well. Those two.
So, going with that, I guess we talked a little bit about the, when he shows up for the battle. Let's talk about the ending right there. I know a lot of people are going to want us to talk right about that. So, that was unexpected. Like I expected them to lose, but I didn't expect them to just get like disintegrate away in a depressing fashion. That's something I didn't expect.
T'Challa tells you right off the bat, Thanos will only fly in blood and dust.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, he does. Like, there's just blood of the Outriders and there's dust.
Everyone started getting sad when it was Mr. Stark. I don't feel good.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, the little bastard improv that moment.
Yeah,
it's
so
like
good.
he set out to hurt everyone with that. But like that moment works so well because people have pointed this out to me on Twitter. And it's like, can you stop trying to hurt me? And it's like he gets the hug he wanted from Homecoming.
Yep.
And like and you then get Tony who's like, if you die, that's on me. And it's like, oh, stop.
And it's like, not only that, people I think missed the subtle nod. Like I was talking to one of my friends after the movie ended, and he was like, wait, why is Peter the only one that gets that moment? I was like, well, remember how the first time we see Peter in the movie, his spider sense activates. I was like, the reason he got it is because at the end of the movie, it's the same thing. His spider sense activates that it's going to happen to him, so he has an extra few seconds to be able to give you that moment. So that's the way I saw it. I don't know if that's the way other people saw it, but that was like my...
Yeah.
That's
how I took it. I just kind of like, that must have been horrific for someone who knows what's coming.
Yup. Oh, terrible.
No, I wouldn't want to feel that. And like, they kind of flipped with the Okoye and Black Panther bit. And it's just like, you think you think she's going, and then it's like, you see her face and it's actually him. And it's like, fuck. They actually got rid of Black Panther.
Here was like the most amazing thing. Like every other Marvel movie or Star Wars movie that I go see, right? After the movie, it's just people start standing or clapping, it's the premiere and everything. Everybody is so jazzed. The last 30 seconds of this movie was dead silence. When Thanos is sitting there and he does that little smile and it fades, you could hear the pin drop from a mile away. It was just utter shock and people going, and like nobody said anything. Like we just sat there through the credits. It was just kind of like dead silent. It was like people were just trying to understand what's happening. I was like, oh man, this was heavy right now, like.
So I've never had that experience. So like the entire movie, there's noise. You get the ambient noise of like drinks, popcorn, whatever the fuck people have got like they're eating, and then it's from that moment he snaps his fingers and Thor shouts no. And he's like, "What did you do?" And it's just quiet. There
Yep.
was nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. I've never had that before.
Yeah, because like when I thought it through after going home, I was like, wait, why are people getting sad when the protagonist won? Aren't people supposed to be happy?
You can kind of twist it that way, I suppose. But it's
Well, I mean, after like what I thought was funny, after all the complaining that Marvel doesn't take risks, they're not dark enough, they never kill anybody, they don't do anything, the heroes always wins, all the movies are the same. They completely subvert you in this one, and now the people that were arguing it, they're like, well, it's a cop out. I was like, look, it's a comic book movie. Half of them are always, actually, like 90% are always cop outs. But the thing is, they were willing to do that and end the movie by just fading. Like, they pulled a Sopranos on us, but at least we get a conclusion to this. Like, it's pretty powerful how Marvel knows now. It's like, no, we can do anything, and the people will be satisfied. So
yeah, but it's just a crazy ending to end on, and like people are going, "Oh no, this is definitely a two-parter," and it's like it's not. Like
No.
this is not a middle part of a movie. It's got a beginning, a middle, and an end. Like just because the bad guy wins doesn't make it any less of a complete movie.
yeah, because it was Thanos' story from the beginning. Like, it's his movie.
Yeah.
It's literally his movie. So, and I will say, like, when talking to people, because they knew I told them like Thanos' story was cut. I am 100% glad they cut his entire backstory. I don't think it could have fit in the flow of the movie.
It's I'm kind of half and half. I'm with you that I'm happy he wasn't in there because there was so much in there already. And like we got all we needed to for the context of
Yep.
this. I still really fucking want to see that.
Like, if they were to release it as like a one shot or something, condensed into like 8 minutes or something, into
no.
with the release, I think it would work 100%.
Give me a 30-minute short film and just make it Thanos Rising because that's what it sounds like from all the interviews I did and stuff.
Yeah. Well,
But, like-
it seemed like they were pretty along in how finished it was, so maybe it will be included or elements of it. And it wouldn't surprise me if this was the first movie where Marvel does an extended cut, because it feels like there is stuff missing out of it.
Oh yeah, like that's probably my biggest complaint about it. It's not even really a complaint. It's just it's just an observation I noticed. There are scenes and moments where you can tell they've cut stuff out.
Oh yeah.
There's Gamora and Thanos, and he's literally just the door opens up and there's Nebula.
Uh-huh.
Gamora's not facing the door, and they've had an interaction, and he said something. So it's like I want to see that moment. What just happened there? It really kind of stood out to me, but I can't remember anything else. But that one moment really stood out.
Yeah, there was a couple of that. That was also one of those, because you could tell what that scene was probably them walking from the throne, and he was probably telling her and trying to tell her like pretty much tell her what he's been doing to Nebula without telling her, which is why she looks so horrified when she gets right in there. It's like some of those scenes, as I wish they were in there, but then again I'm like, look, this is the last issue of a giant comic book event, so I understand why it's not in there. It's like, and that's also a complaint I think we have with a lot of comic book issues as well. Like, the last issue is always just action, and it seems like they've cut a lot of stuff out.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's how I just saw it. I was like, you know what, I'm okay with it. It's because the movie delivers far beyond what I expected. Like, I honestly went into this movie, I was like, I don't know how they can handle this, but the way they split up all the stories individually and how they in a smart way handle the characters uniting and talking to each other, it felt as coherent as every other MCU movie that teams up a bunch of people. It was, I would say, it was even better than those. So,
like I said in the podcast, I think it was the week before, that I'm not 100% if they can handle it. Yes, they've done Civil War and done everything else, but like this is a completely different ballgame. And they've always said like this movie is is a series of vignettes, and so I get that now.
Yep.
Like, I know what a vignette is and what a series of them is, but I didn't realize it was going to be to this extent.
Yeah,
And it's a very different type of movie that I think only works because of it.
and
So you couldn't like this is essentially three acts. Like you start in the third act.
yep, and that's the thing that people I think missed about this movie. It's like, a lot of people are like, oh man, it works out, and it does. It's like, no, we're still going to have that big union scene of the entire MCU in the next movie. The thing is, this movie chose deliberately to unite these characters and not unite them all. Like Star-Lord never meets Captain America and stuff, and that's going to happen in the next movie or whatever, but it's handled in such a way that they give you time to breathe and get used to this idea, because when people watch these two movies back to back, and they will, because I guarantee Avengers 4 is going to have showings, you know, with Infinity War in front of it, it's going to be that thing where you watch it, you're like, oh, okay, so it was like almost one 6-hour movie that I went and watched, you know, or whatever, and it's like, I see everything now, and I see everything unite, but the way they handled all the stories and to get all the stones, you had to balance the movie this way, because you couldn't do it like, there's no other way to tell this story that includes all the characters uniting at the same time. Like, it wouldn't have worked, so.
Like, it's... Now, some people have complained about some characters not meeting, like, say, Tony and Cap, but we've seen them together for so long now. It's like, let's focus on these characters meeting the other people.
Yep.
Like, Doctor Strange has been around since Civil War, yet he's never met anyone else. Like, let's have the interaction between him and Tony, and then like the Guardians never met anyone. So let's bring them in. Let's, you know, give 2 of them to Thor, who ends up on Earth anyway, so then he can interact with like Bucky and whoever else.
And they choose the 2 most, like, I wouldn't have picked these 2 to try to introduce the Guardians, but it's like, no, here's the Rocket and Raccoon and the tree. Here you go. I was like, whoa, that's ballsy. Like, I would have pictured like Star-Lord and maybe Groot or something. It's like, no, they go balls to the wall. Like,
it's like his rabbit tree.
Yeah, because like, I wouldn't expect Thor to take tree in high school as an elective.
Yeah.
I mean, from the sounds of it, he was taught by a tree on Asgard because he knows Groot.
Yeah.
That was another one. It's like, I am Groot. I am Steve Rogers. It's like, so good.
Yeah, it's I don't know what other parts like stood out to you guys.
I mean, just Josh Brolin.
Yeah,
just complete that performance is incredible. I don't know how he did it, but he done it.
The other one was, I think, when me and Mitch were talking, was when on Titan, when Doctor Strange threw out that alternate reality at him and he just made a micro black hole and just shattered.
Yeah.
So here's the mirror dimension. Have a black hole.
Also, one thing that people have complained about, and I get it, guys, but this is a movie, you have to balance it. If Thanos just had the Power Stone, why doesn't he just wipe them out? Because that's what it'd do, and Ronan could have done that. Because then the movie's not interesting, okay? Like, that's why.
People are like, oh, why didn't Thanos just make more food for everyone? It's like, if you bring in more food out of nothing, you have put more energy into the universe, therefore it's unbalanced. Which goes completely against his motivation, which is not changed from the comics. Stop saying it is.
And not only that, it's like, if he would have just slammed his fist down and wipes out the entire planet like Ronan wanted to do on Xandar, and Isan did in that like flashback scene in Guardians, guess what? Then he's committing pure genocide, which is something he doesn't believe he's doing. He just wants to balance the universe. He doesn't want to wipe out everybody. It's against his character to just kill an entire planet. Like, I don't understand why people are mad at the obvious, because it's like, he's not a full-on murderer. I mean, he has a code.
It's a warp, because he says that he doesn't want to destroy anything. He just wants to save the universe because organic life has gone out of control.
Mm-hmm. Mm. You know, that's just the beauty of his character. Like, he's got conviction and he's justified.
Yeah.
He's like, look, like, my home planet, like, they didn't listen to me. They called me a madman. They cast me out. Look at it now. I was right. And then you get Gamora's planet. He's like, it's a paradise. Like, the kids know full bellies and blue skies. It's like, he's 100% justified, like, from his point of view. Like, obviously not to everyone, but like, that's what makes him so good. Like, it's crazy how well they've done him.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah,
you remember, like, back in the day, people were saying, because they were teasing, like, look, by the time this villain comes out, you're going to know why he stacks up with the best, and he's going to be up there with Vader. And I remember everybody laughing. And now you watch this movie, you're like, yeah, this is like one of the best villains I've seen in movies in recent years. Like, without any questions, I'm willing to say, yeah, it's true.
See, I'm just going to go out on the limb and say he's my favorite villain of all time. He's in the comics anyway. They've made him better.
Whoa. Over X-Men Apocalypse's Apocalypse?
He was a villain?
Oh, I don't remember.
I take Grimace over Apocalypse any day.
Christ.
Yeah, no, he's probably my favorite comic book villain of any movie, other than Red Skull, obviously, but that's just fanboy. But if I had to pick it, no, he would probably be the best, I would say. Like, he was just perfect. That's the best way I can describe him.
Yeah, and it's like, yes, the people are going to bring up the Joker, and it's like, you're more than entitled to do that. The Joker didn't have anything to grab on for me.
Nope.
Like, the Joker's in that movie, he's not a character, and that's kind of the point. Like, he's just there to fuck shit up.
He didn't. Yeah, he was anarchy. He didn't have the story for me. Like, it's.
Yeah.
And that was, like, I guess, deliberate or whatever to make you think and question. But I was like, I don't like that to a degree, you know. And Thanos, like, even though they cut his backstory, I feel like I understand his character and his motivations and what he stands for. So to me, that was like, this is what I wanted, and they finally deliver. And could you imagine if this movie would have failed to deliver what they've been building up since 2012? Like, my God, that would be disappointing, you know? Like,
that would be the darkest timeline.
Oh.
Wouldn't want. But like, no, you know, it's one of the biggest emotional impacts of this movie, and it's from him, and it's the Vormir scene.
Yep.
Where like it's just, you know, you have Zoe Saldana, who's acting her tits off, by the way. Like, you know, she's with the Guardians and she's his mother figure. She's with Thanos, and she reverts back to this small little scared girl. And she's just fantastic in this. And she's just laughing at him, and then he's just crying. And it's, I don't know, just the way you can see Josh Brolin's face.
Yep.
Like, through all the CG, through all like the warping they've done to make him look like a mix between Thanos and Brolin, like you can just see the acting come through.
You know, so that was the thing, because I really want to like watch some Josh Brolin stuff, which I never typically do before a movie. I'm not like, I'm gonna go watch this actor's entire thing, but my wife never has seen Goonies, so I was like, okay, that's a Josh Brolin movie. I'm gonna show her Goonies. It's gonna be great. And you see how he was a really good actor even back in the day. And the thing is, like, you watch it and you're just like, dude, you could see his face and his emotion come through this character, and it's he really sold that CG character almost as good as I would say Andy Serkis does with the apes. Like, it's just
yeah.
He delivered for me. Like, I could tell all the nuanced emotions and how he was moving, and like the regret in his face, and there was just something to the CG character that made him more believable than most of the other villains. And of course, he's more believable than Ultron. That was a robot. You can never have me sympathize with a damn robot. But you know, this was completely different.
But like, it's, you know, it's the combination of it's Brolin, and it's also the tech team. Like what the CGI team did with him is incredible. Like, he doesn't look like a CGI character. Like, and obviously Brolin helps with like actually playing a human character. So it kind of makes you forget that he is this like 12-foot tall purple grey.
Yeah.
No, it really, I don't know. It's just if none of them get an Oscar for either of those two with Thanos, I think they're robbed. Thanos' portrayal was up there with what like Patrick Stewart done in Logan for me.
Yeah.
Like, Stewart was robbed. If Brolin doesn't get anything, he'll be robbed.
Between this movie and Black Panther, there has to be some Oscar nods to either of them. Like, there is just so much stuff in there that's it's so worthy, and I feel like everybody's talking about this movie, even though it's like I've seen people go, "Oh, the Rotten Tomatoes is under a 90. Wow, that's strange." I was like, "Look at how much this movie has took on, and look at what they've done with the character. Just don't stop."
So it's like it's going to sound like making excuses, but it's such a different type of movie. It's not made like any other movie before it.
No.
It's kind of hard to use critics and Rotten Tomatoes as a scale to judge it.
It is.
Like before you can kind of go, oh, it's a standard 3-act film, you know, every Marvel movie's like that. It's like, yeah, you can look at what other people think and like the consensus, that's all Rotten Tomatoes is. And like you can kind of formulate from that. It's so different, and it's, you know, people are going like, oh, I watched this, and like they don't introduce anyone. It's like, that's because it's not that kind of a movie. This is a season finale of a TV show.
Right. And
you haven't got to develop or introduce anyone because everyone already knows everyone. They've had the development.
And
the
that's
fact
the
that
thing.
characters actually get development is surprising.
Right. That's the actual thing that I argue with a couple people there, but they don't explain who this character is. I was like, have you seen Doctor Strange? And my friend's like, yeah. I was like, so what do you mean they don't explain who he is? I was like, this movie is banking on the fact that they're comfortable with saying, you know who the Avengers are and you've seen our movies. That's what these movies stand for. Like, this was the ultimate celebration of, look, we know you've seen our movie because it's that damn good and everybody talks about it. And when you get into this one, just think about it this way. Even if you've only seen a couple movies, let's just say you've only seen the Avengers movies and Civil War going into this one. This movie, with everything going on and introducing a brand new villain and these high concepts, is still more coherent than Justice League.
Yeah.
So think about that for a second. And that movie had 10,000 times less going on in its grand scope than what this movie had, and it works out better. So just think about how good the writing and directing by the Russo brothers is to the fact they were able to pull that off. It's
Marcus and McFeely, they wrote the movie.
Oh yeah, true. Yes. Yeah.
Hats off to Marcus and McFeely, who are claiming somehow, I don't know,
yeah,
that Avengers 4 is bigger and better than this. It's like, please, I'm already frightened.
I am calling you out on your bull. Yeah, I can't believe that. Like, you're not gonna top this movie. Like, this is legit my second favorite MCU movie. It's
top. It's top for me.
It's ridiculous.
I've only seen it 3 times compared to like the countless of the rest of them, and the more I think about it, the more there's something different in every time I think about it. So like, it's just. It could change over time. It's top for me.
Yeah. Oh, God. What other elements of the movie do we want to discuss, if there's any? Because we've touched on pretty much all the big ones.
You could talk about the Black Order and how they were just the Black Order from the comics.
Yeah.
They got treated the exact same way.
Same way. They were good. They did what they needed to. They were cannon fodder.
Yeah. Even though it was... I don't know, like... You know when you're reading the comic and you have the voice in your head that you make up? Yep. I did not have Irish for Ebony Maw. That really threw me off as the first thing you heard.
So, the thing for Ebony Maw for me was I pictured this, like, dude with a gravelly old voice, like, you know, like, almost like a dying dude who seems like he's seen, like, some shit for the last, like, 30 years, and he's like, look, I'm like this frightening Grim Reaper almost. I did not picture what we got, so, yeah,
no,
it's
just
a little weird.
Whoa. Like, got this Weasley Irish little grey alien in. It's just like, actually, I prefer the Irish. It really works for him.
It does.
Like,
it really does.
You know, like, people going, oh, they suck. They were just henchmen. It's like, that's what they were anyway. Like, yes, the Black Order did some cool shit in, like, Infinity, but for the most part, they're kind of not the best thing ever.
No.
Like they're cool designs, they're cool names. The fact that they didn't even name them, so it makes the whole Cull Obsidian Black Dwarf thing even dumber.
Yeah,
I mean, Ebony Maw got a nickname, Squidward. I can't unsee that
Yeah.
now. So.
Yeah. It lends itself perfectly to SpongeBob memes. They knew exactly what they were doing there.
Yep.
People love these memes, making one.
Yeah, that's kind of funny that they were able to pull that off, you know, just shove it in there. It's like, oh no, this is going to be a meme. It's like, of course it was. Like, the moment the movie ended, people were like, Squidward! Like, all right. Oh.
Also, like, the one joke that fell flat for me was that, have you seen this really old movie, Aliens? It's like, please tell me you did not just repeat a joke. Like, that is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be Footloose.
So, no, Footloose is fine, because, like, that goes with Star-Lord. That's fine.
It's the greatest movie of all time, right? No.
it never was.
I think maybe they're doing that because, you know, the whole Empire Strikes Back thing in Civil War and now Alien, I feel like that's going to be a Peter Parker type of thing where he's calling out these old things.
I hope it's not, because it's really fucking lame.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, you remember this? Like, it was really funny the first time. It's like,
what's he gonna do? So like, have you guys seen this movie with the mutants and they fight on the Statue of Liberty? It's like, huh? What?
And it's like, it wouldn't be so bad if, like, it was a more iconic moment.
Yeah.
Like, everyone knows the snow speeder and the AT-AT walking, and they take each other down. Like, you could count on one hand the people that probably remember Alien getting sucked out of the spaceship.
And not only that, you can count on one hand the people that went and saw Alien Covenant, so clearly it's not a franchise that's worthy of being in the mainstream, so it's like, alright, well...
It also made it even funnier because of the whole James Cameron bit.
Yeah, that was my thing. I was like, wait a second. And then I was like, are they just positioning us for that Fox takeover? Because that's like the second Fox, you know, movie, like Star Wars was, and then now this. I'm like, I found it, like... Funny. It was all right. It wasn't my favorite moment, but I guess it had to be in there for something. We need that pop culture reference.
One of the funniest bits had to have been with Mantis and Stark.
Yes. Oh my god.
Just like kick names and take ass, and his face It's just like I accept that
He's
the
like,
galaxy's gonna
no,
get wiped.
that's called rape.
And it wasn't just like his face. They hold the camera on him and like
Yep.
Peter for just about like 3 to 4 seconds, and they don't want to say anything. They don't want to look at each other or them. They just kind of stare off, wondering what she's saying. And they're like, "These guys are complete morons." I lost it
it's
at that
like,
scene.
they can't be this stupid.
We are 100% dead.
Oh, so
Also,
weird.
hats off to using like the crimson bands of Satirak and the images of Icon for Doctor Strange. Like, thank you. It's about. Sure, he could have said the spells. I would have liked it better if he did, but it's, you did it. It's not just sparkly karate. Like, thank you.
Oh man.
There's so much in this movie. Like, I could probably sit here for like 2.5 hours to talk.
That's
about
going to be the thing when we get to the actual audio commentary of this one. We're going to just be talking nonstop about everything. 'Cause there's so much in this movie to talk about. That's like every scene is packed with so much going on. Like, and it's not that episode 1 every scene is so dense. Well, like everything is dense with something important, and that's truly a miracle of this movie that they pulled it off.
So like I can't remember what we said in this. Like, did we say about Thor being put into context for Ragnarok?
Mm-hmm.
We did, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
His entrance. Like, where was Zeppelin?
Yeah.
Oh, it would have been so good.
Yeah, but at least like in my theater, people were actually clapping when Thor came back because they thought they were gonna win.
Yeah.
See, we're civilized people. We don't do that.
Oh.
But nice. And there's so many like comic callbacks as well. Like, it's contrary to popular belief. Like, Thanos and Infinity Gauntlet set out to do exactly what he did here. The only difference is death. That's literally the only difference. Like, you can read the interaction between him and Surfer. He does talk about overpopulation and all this. And, like the whole "you should have gone for the head" moment. Like, that's straight from Infinity Gauntlet when Wolverine stabs him in the chest. And it's like, why didn't you go for the head?
Well, I've also seen people being like, "I can't believe they removed the character of Death, the MCU. Why are you doing this?" I was like, if you're not used to them doing this 19 movies in, what the hell are you here for? Like,
yeah,
why is this a complaint even?
Like,
Because they want to be right.
yeah, it's like, if you want to just see that, read the comic. Marcus and McFeely were talking about Adam Warlock, but I think literally before the movie came out, and they're saying we were going to put him in here, but he would need his own movie to make sense.
Pretty much.
Like, with this movie, you couldn't put him in there because it would just be too much.
Yeah.
And legitimately seeing people going, I hope it fails for cutting him out. And it's like, really? You want Adam Warlock? Go read Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Like, you know Adam Warlock's not going to be in this because he's not even introduced yet. Like, do you understand how filmmaking works? They have a limited amount of time. It's already, you could argue, slightly too long anyway. Just bring it back. Calm down.
Well, after all this, what I like the most is that Mark Ruffalo, he spoiled the movie last year and no one believed him.
Yep.
He did.
I remember us talking about that in one of the discussions and we were like, dude, did you hear what Ruffalo said? And the comments were like, no, he's just kidding. It's not. It's like, oh no, he was on point. Like,
It was absolutely serious. Like, the way that interview played out, it looked like a joke. And just the way like Don Cheadle timed like the dude and everything, it looked like a joke. And of course, no, it's not. So whatever Ruffalo and Holland say, like, pay attention. It is fact.
It was like, I bet it's like somewhere they're saying, if Tom Holland says it, people will believe him. But maybe if we make Mark say it, they'll disregard it no matter what he says.
Yeah, it might be. But he's such a little cheeky happy boy. It's just
Right.
like, come on, Ruffalo. Like, hey, let's stop doing this.
So, I guess that'll actually bring us to the end of the Spoilercast. Like I said, you guys are going to hear a lot more about Infinity War and Avengers 4 coming up, which we'll start to know the details probably in the summer. And, of course, wait for our audio commentary. And if you guys want more of our stuff, Thor Ragnarok audio commentary out now on Patreon. So, go get that now. Right after I say now, go get it.
Unfortunately, the Infinity War commentary is going to be a while because that will no doubt be with Captain Marvel.
Yep, that's when it's coming out. So,
But
yeah.
where's Ant-Man and the Wasp?